Hello, 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 everyone. Mike Arnold here, co-founder, Path Trading Partners, along with Bob Iacino. How is everyone doing? Hey, Ken. Good afternoon, Davey. Hello. I'm still optimistic. Wavy. It's one day. I agree that we might have a pin at 4,000, like I talked about today, but we'll still trade around for it's. That's Friday. Gotta follow. Nothing really changed today. It was just a back and forth, non-trend day. So, oh boy, I'm not even going to talk about Musk. Don't make me talk about Musk. We need some of this crap to stop with this Twitter stuff. You'll get me going. By the way, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing, ringing that bell, and hitting the like button. Longer term viewers and subscribers, please like some videos and leave some comments like many of you have been doing. So, again, thank you for being here. Yeah, duh, Musk says inflation has resulted from government printing money. Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. Musk says Twitter is still refusing to tell us. He's been on a rampage all afternoon, with also, 80 to 90% of the Twitter baby bots. The deal he signed, there's a disparagement clause in there. Now, what's interesting is they could sue him for that, and it could get tied up in court for years and won't be beneficial. But now he's trying to lower the price and everything else. But you know what? This is where, when you don't have an SEC and you don't have anybody enforced, especially call up Morgan Stanley and say, get your boy in line here, because, if this goes on, what happens to M&A deals in the future? What I don't like what I said, and I waived my rights to do a lot of due diligence. I said it wasn't important. Signed a contract, which there's very limited due diligence in there, and now you're disparaging the company. Gets very interesting, but since we don't have any regulators on the beat, and since he's gotten away with it for years, the problem is this sets precedents. If this isn't cracked down upon, then what happens to future M&A deals? People sign M&A deals, and then they get on Twitter and then try to disparage the company and try to change the price if they don't like something. Where does it go? That's the bigger picture here. What do we get? What do we get? We just get a bunch of garbage and crap with the markets, which is my whole thing. With you let the guy get away with crap for years. And people don't even know what people are defending. Oh, he's just trying to get a better deal for himself. Well, then you should have negotiated before you signed the deal. Nobody made you sign the deal. Nobody made you accumulate shares, not file your 13D form, first file of 13G 10 days late, then file a 13D after you announce that you were joining the board, and then rescind that thing. And then, there's been so much crap that's gotten, but we have a SEC that's asleep at the wheel. It's just damaging markets overall. So, he killed both Tesla and Twitter. Twitter is back to the price which he first purchased at. The guy's a walking wrecking ball. They got to go get this boy in line, turning into a circus. I hate to bring him up, but Tesla trader is becoming very unpredictable. He's damaging Tesla. He's damaging Twitter. He's off the handle with his tweets. He's accusing a company he's trying to take over of blatant fraud. Well, you want to talk about some blatant fraud? Go look at his warranty reserves on Tesla and putting stuff as goodwill instead of having it hit warranty costs. That's been documented by a lot of very good accounting forensic people, and it's out there. You want to talk about accounting fraud? Go look at your own friggin' company you're in charge of. Yeah, and he tweets the pile of poo. That's great. We have those kind of markets. Great. This is the kind of markets I like to work in. No, not really. These things have become a joke. This is just the continuation of a friggin' joke. It needs to be flushed out. Oh, by the way, we got Fed speak tomorrow, 7 a.m. Central. Then retail sales is going to be very interesting, so pay attention to 7:30. We'll recap it 8 a.m. when I'm doing the live stream, but pay attention to retail sales at 7:30. Then we got more 8:15 Central. We got Harker speaking. Industrial production, I'm still keeping an eye on this too. And capacity utilization, because that's going to be, especially if we get into even more stagflation environment, going to get interesting. Housing market, going to get interesting to see if it comes in worse than that forecast 75. We got Powell speaking at 1 p.m. Central, Mester at 3:30 right after the close, and then Evans in the evening. So there's a lot of market moving stuff tomorrow. So do not fall asleep at the wheel. And if you don't have anything, don't force it, especially with OpEx this week. You have mixed bags. Some of the mega caps were down. You have energy up with oil rallying. You have healthcare, which was rallying. And then you have a bunch of other mixed bags. Financials were off again. FOMC still 90% of that 50 basis hike and still in that negative gamma right above for the SPX, the cash right above that 4,000. Don't get too, yes, we could see a pin there. I talked about that this morning with, here's your big put and call gamma right here. But don't get faked out that we have to sit within like 10, 15 points of it. You can get some sells, you can get some rallies, you can get some interesting price action before Friday. By the way, after the close here, there's not a lot I'm looking at. So if anybody else wants me to look at something, but there's not a lot of market moving stuff. Actually, not a lot of companies that I'm interested in. So this is just, again, what kind of correction is this so far? Now, this is not a double top. It's now a triple top. All right. It's just a triple top. So we're pulling this off. By the way, this is so far a sideways correction. Ramp up last week, sideways correction, getting out of overbought conditions, possibly a slight divergence up here. So that's really about it. Overnight, if we start breaking now below about 39.90, I'll start watching the harmonics for some downward price action. 39.73. What did I say? Did I say 30? 39.90, 39.73, and then major coming in at 39.49, 39.50, which just be a retracement here of the 50% up move on your daily. You see, as I talked about, happens a lot. First hit of the rotation zone, a stall out move. So I'm still watching. If we take out today's high tomorrow, I'm watching for a slight little potential rally, and then we could easily roll over and pin 4,000 by the end. Cycle's still turning up on the daily and still bottoming on the weekly, trying to turn up, but that can take even through this entire week. So those are the levels I'm watching into the upside level above today's high, 40.65. Then my major resistance will be 40.80 to about 40.88. Hey, Kalani. Real low blows from Elon. He's not going to buy anything. Yeah, but he's also doing damage to a company. And I don't agree with everything Twitter's done in the past. I don't agree with all other bans. I don't agree with a lot of their, shadow banning political stance, and a lot of, they're hiding behind, that they can't be sued, but they're actually using editorial. I forget what word I'm looking for. They're editorializing, so they're not just a content provider. They're actually they've turned into a publisher a long time ago, and they should be able to be sued over that. I hate these government rules that have been put in place, but I still don't defend disparaging a company that you're trying to close a deal with. That is just, if that opens up in the markets, then what do you do? Literally, what do you do with M&A deals? Just like, so if he ends up in the SEC with this one and in court with this one with Tesla, so far he already can't deny he's committed securities fraud. That was part of the settlement with SEC, which they should have gave him a big smackdown and banned him from any leadership position in companies. But no, they played with kid gloves, and now look what you get. NASDAQ, still the double. Talked about this morning. Double is still in play. Holding, you see that 12,228 significant level on a 4-hour closing basis. If we do pull back more, then I'm just using the harmonics. The major harmonic level is about 12,093 to 13,000. I'll be watching. Nothing changes with this potential up move until you get a close below the 62.5. So again, still pretty much a sideways correction, starting to tilt down, but I'm going to really assess it with tonight's overnight price action. If you want to look at the minor stuff, breaks above about 12,365, then targeting about 12,400. Then we still have the final target for the double, and none of this price action today did anything to invalidate that. So remember that I still got to go with the stats on it, the probabilities. Dow spiking up just above that the significant level and harmonic cluster, and then reversing back down. This double is off the table for the Dow pretty much. So the those double patterns did not trigger. I'm watching about 31,960 to about 31,950 for support. If we did drop below that, I'd focus at 31,805. The Dow is still, even with today, this is just another pullback in the uptrend and reconnecting with the breakout zone. So it's going to be interesting to see how that trades overnight. To the upside now, with this, I am updating. We're gonna get what looks like at least a interesting pausing bar. Then on the next up move, I'm going to target the 50% and this 32,616, which just takes us up. We got the first reaction into the rotation zone, pullback. Now, if we break to above today's high, we're just into the rotation zone, and another major breakdown area is right in front of that 62.5. Russell, not much, still that reaction at the rotation zone. Russell, looking at this on a 1 hour basis, this is now a horizontal channel, so you can't trade it as the double. You could use other targets. We'll analyze that if it breaks down tomorrow. The DAX, dipping in there and now becoming this. It's a better double now on the 4 hour. But what's interesting, it tried to break down. Now you have this, a close below 13,855. Now you got 13,765, 13,719, 13,764. This is still valid on the 4 hour. I'm watching for a stall out move with this descending channel. Crude, again, we broke. I talked about the break above this 111.37, poking above 113.68, which is a stop raise at this point. I'm still watching for a tag of this 116 to about 116.41 and watching especially where it closes tomorrow on any pullback level. Now at this point, I'm watching about 110 to 110.50 for key support. It's still got some price action to chew through, but you get above this 62.5, you're into a pretty nice move, potentially higher. You see here, you got a clear path move up there, so that would be very interesting with a retest of the highs. That's why your energy stocks and from the sector overview, remember the energy sector is still really strong. Gold put an aggressive 4 hour buy signal, watching to see how it can get back to about 1847 to 1850. Silver, nice little bounce. Going to watch for a potential pullback and then another push up play. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on with that. Notes, basing here. You see here, pretty much reacting to the weekly. Now this is a little pullback pause bar and now trying to rotate back up. I'm getting really short-term bullish on the notes, continuing above 120.01. Dollar index, we had that double coming down, hitting the second target, pausing. I'm still watching out for this to continue, and if we do break lower from there again, we could be putting in a longer term top off this harmonic. So I will update these. Next key area I'm watching is about 103.96 to 104. Are you playing HD earnings this week? No, I'm not playing HD earnings, but they do release on Wednesday. Or, sorry, tomorrow. Sorry, tomorrow. They're before the open, right? Let's just double check. Let's double check. Yeah, they're before the open. I'm not specifically playing the earnings on either Walmart or Home Depot, but I am interested to see how they react and potential setups after earnings. Home Depot, again, below this key resistance, but I'm still watching longer term. Bouncing at the 50%, I'm still watching longer term, even if they do have a strong earnings report for another rollover play and reconnecting down here with the 200-week longer term. Walmart, which is also tomorrow. Walmart back to this 50% and bouncing. I'm watching for a potential breakdown play after, even if we get a pop in earnings, for another rollover and finding some key support between the 50 and the 62.5. Remember, the 200-day is just below here. So on any bad guidance, they could easily come back and test this 200-day tomorrow, but I don't specifically have a high probability setup. VIX, by the way, even though you were down slightly with 48 basis points as of this live stream in the S&P, NASDAQ down 120, Dow pretty much flat. Your VIX pulled back. Remember, we had that double trigger and hitting the second target and also the close below the 62.5. So I'm still expecting it to finish this 26.62 and then at least test 26.20 to 24.99.25 area. Checking in on Tesla. Tesla was some good trading today. You had the gap harmonics, which I still have up here. You see here, you get the close below the 62.5 right here, a little bounce back move, but then completing the whole gap fill. And also from this whole move up, no key major, I'm not watching that on a 5-minute, but no major significant close right below that 62.5. You got this little 15-minute, but I'm more watching if we do roll over for intraday plays. This has turned into just intraday plays pretty much only because God knows what's going to happen with Elon going unhinged with Twitter. Now, you do have a potential double, so that could be an intraday play tomorrow to the upside above 794. What's the high here? 741. Sorry, 741. I couldn't see my numbers up there. 741 even. You get 751.95, 757.43, 762.90. Keep in mind, it is still against the 4-hour rotation zone, and if we zoom in here, that just takes a sort of a reconnection with the 4-hour rotation zone for potential rollover play. If you had to have, I'd be more watching for another breakdown play tomorrow, unless the NASDAQ can get some traction and unless he stops tweeting. Just for the sake of completeness, here's your Twitter. Remember, we still have this. Now the close below is 62.5. So what does this favor? It favors actually completing this double top back down to the 87.5. But who knows what's going to happen with this thing, which would be back to 34, 34.21, 34.18. So that's going to be fun to watch to see what happens with this. Even on a bounce play, I mean, this is just getting, how much of the market cap is he erased? Boy, this could get really interesting. Hey, Christoph, how are you? A double bottom in CMCSA and XLV. Pfizer just missing trigger to double bottom. We'll take a look at that. These Musk. We'll take a look at these. I like XOPDB quite a lot, but maybe a little too late to enter already. How's he getting away with this? Well, we're going to see, but the SECs, you know, they're not going to react to the same day he pulls some of this stuff, but they should have already, with the late form filing and already all the shenanigans, put this under review, because this is really damaging the M&A markets. How bad could this recession be? U.S. shipping all diesel to Europe. We'll have transportation stocks and meltdown soon. I think it's going to be at a really bad recession, and I think diesel could, if they don't. We're getting diesel shortages on the East Coast, and you could see a massive ramp up in diesel prices, which is just going to lead to more inflation already in place and already entrenched into the peak season for gasoline and diesel usage. Let's check some of these. We already looked at HD. SE. Again, earnings tomorrow. Long term, even on pops with these things, you could easily see a pop with cycles at the bottom, but it would just be another rollover play for me. Another rollover play back to the weekly rotation zone, even into the weekly rotation zone. Still not touching anything with these companies, even on pops, like with no PDE, not touching it. And here's what I'm talking about. Like, you get bounces. Like, look, Shopify, 2-day bounce rolling back down. Yeah, was a little potential play here, now rolling back down to fill the gap. But you have to be deadly accurate with your timing on these. So unless you're like a day or a very aggressive swing trader, I'm not touching these things right now because you got to get your timing that exact. JMIA. And again, you got the bounce and now the rollover play. Who knows what that's going to be with earnings. But I'm still in long-term bearish mode. And again, I immediately, no PDE yet. We had vertical up, vertical down. And I'm thinking longer term, this thing can easily be back in the 2s now, even if you get a pop off of earnings with something. That's why I'm just not touching this stuff unless you can be really good with your timing. CMCSA, my favorite company. They were out again this afternoon with my internet. I'm actually on backup internet now because they are so friggin' unreliable. Double bottom and Comcast. Yep. Did trigger, so you got 42.72, 43.23, 43.76. You are against the rotation zone, so it is on the daily, so it is lower probability, but those are the targets. Why does this lower the probabilities? Because many times you smack into the other side of the rotation zone and then rotate back down. Could it still complete? Yes, it can. Because it oversold coming out, but also at cycle highs now to trigger this. So it'll be interesting. And you're against the weekly with the second target. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. But yes, it is valid with lower probabilities. XLV. Again, I pointed this out in the overview, and this has triggered the double, even if it pulls back a bit to the breakout zone. Still watching for this to have the 130.79, 131.63, 132.48. We do cover that on the weekly sector overview. That's where that play came from. So thank you for pointing it out, Christoph. PFE, Pfizer, just missing the trigger here. But it's confirmed, but not triggered on the daily. So, and I'd be definitely waiting for that trigger on the daily because there's a fair amount of resistance right here. But it has not triggered on the daily. XOP. Is that one valid? Yep. It did trigger XOP, but maybe a little too late. You might be able to get on this pullback, you might still be able to get reward to risk on a pullback because it did not hit the first target yet. Pullback between the peak of the trigger 135.15, and I'd be watching around 133.92. I just want to see where that fits with the harmonics. Just see on this last little run up. I'd be focused about on this 25% harmonic to about 134 on that potential play, because you need, with the way this triggered, you do need that to get proper reward to risk. Piper Sandler upgraded SoFi. Really? You're gonna get a little pop on SoFi now? You got the nice little couple day run up. SoFi trying to put in some kind of more substantial bottom. I'd be interested to see if it comes back and backfills this gap play. That's more what I'd be watching for, of a potential backfill once that upgrade is off the table. So, and see if it can really base around here before it turns into a longer term potential play with no earnings yet. Hopefully they'll get to earnings at some point. USD JPY. Could easily go to 138. Yeah. I mean, we just had this, ooh, that's sort of interesting. Just missing that harmonic. Wonder if it's going to get that bigger pullback into the weekly rotation zone for the next push higher back to the 133.63. I'm not doing anything with USD JPY right now. It's very overextended, cycles rolling over on the weekly basis. So it'll be interesting to see if it can base down here for the next push up. I agree. Diesel could go to $10 a gallon. Completely agree. Which will, think of everything that's run off of diesel, with all the trucking, all the produce that's shipped, and trains use diesel. You want to talk about another mini hike, because those costs will be tried to be passed along. Hey, Waka Waka. Nearly, if this was a Black Monday to you, then we have to have a longer term talk. You better put Black Monday into context, because down 49 basis points I would not constitute a Black Monday. They need to kill this market once and for all. All the trash needs to be taken out. Some names will never recover. I agree. That's why I'm not against having a recession. I'm against all this easy money and cheap financing as just propped up zombie companies that don't produce any long-term P/E. They have some revenue, but they don't have any net earnings, and they just got away with stuff for many years by financing cheap debt. And with all the VC money chasing some kind of returns. We need to get, every so often, you need to flush out the system. It's like you can't just have spring, summer, and fall and skip winter every year. You can't do it. You need that dormant period. You need to have that hard freeze. That's this market. The market will bottom after Peloton hits zero. Peloton, before it hits zero, would be a buyout candidate. Trust me. They have a very committed user base. You're going to, if you got Peloton, like back even to, even in the $5, it's an easy takeover candidate for somebody who wants to be with that. So you get it cheap enough, it's an easy, even with no earnings, it's an easy, because you just have somebody who can better monetize it, will take it over, and it could get very interesting. Did you watch 2,000 Mules? Yes, I did, Paul. I thought it was very, very interesting. Thanks, Rich. I do like that comment. The market will bottom after Peloton hits zero. I do like that. Thank you. That put a smile on my face. And please, for the love of God, take Elon off Twitter. I can't take it anymore. You can't. What are you going to ban him from Twitter? And then they wouldn't do that at this point because of then they could be violating terms of the agreement and saying they're trying to manipulate the agreement also, which you wouldn't want to do that. He's doing enough of that. You don't want to give, if this thing goes to court, you don't want to give him any ammunition at this point. He can sink himself. He can sink himself. No, they threw an iPad on a bike and sold it for $2,000. They threw a big medium screen TV on a tread and sold it for over $4,000. Now, I do love my Peloton, but I also love my tonal. Never have to go to a gym again. Paul with a thumbs up. Yeah, it was interesting. Definitely interesting with 2,000 Mules. And I try not to get into politics on this channel. And there's your double, by the way, completing on Peloton. Which is another rollover play. Again, I might love the product. I hate the stock. And I hate the stock price still. I'd actually love it to see it hit single digits, mid-single digits. Boy. Because you could, somebody's going to grab that one. Thanks to Elon, he swayed the market my way. Waka waka. Oh boy, we're going to have to. I can't wait for Waka Waka to turn bullish long term. Actually, I can't wait till hear one bullish comment out of Waka Waka. These markets are Wild West. Reminds me of our early crypto days. They are Wild West. They've turned into the supposedly regulated markets have now become even more, somewhat more unhinged than the crypto markets. Crypto pulling back nicely to the Bitcoin to 37.5. Even on a little recovery rally, I'm just watching for another rollover play in that. Stalling out at that daily rotation zone. So, yeah, full-blown casino mode. Have you done Tesla? Yeah, I did Tesla. I'll go back to it. I'll go back to Tesla. And I'm tired. Tesla, we did the gap fill play today. On the longer-term basis, we did not close below the 62.5. There's only that 15-minute and 5-minute close just dipping below it. I'm still taking that with a grain of salt. I was seeing if it closed the end of the day. If it closed the end of the day, then I was really going to start targeting 693 to 680. It's holding up here. If it breaks down below that tomorrow, I'm watching then for a return to 706. And then if it really gets beat up 693, the only bullish thing is this potential little double. 751.95, 757.42, 762.90, but that would just be a short-term pop right back to the 4-hour rotation zone. That's it. I mean, I'm still leaning very bearish on this, but who knows with what's... I mean, this is... Anything can shift in a moment now, since with him... Tesla I was bearish on, period. But now with him going on his little Twitter rampage against Twitter, who knows what's going to happen. Waka Waka is a Shakira song? It is? Enough for me today. Good luck on these folks. This market is becoming very unpredictable, especially Tesla traders. So much in the hands of Elon. This whole Twitter saga, completely agree. DBGI. I just don't touch stuff like this. Digital brands groups. It's got a potential gap fill. up to you play the potential gap fill up to 49.70. That's about it. Oh boy. Michael Burry will close his Twitter account again. That's a good comment, Rich. Thank you. He disclosed. I didn't see that. I did not see him disclose his Apple short today. I missed that. Thank you for pointing that out. Thank you. Again, we have this double just sitting. It did trigger on the 1 hour basis. Just this double. It'll be interesting to see if it does push higher. So trading a bit lower post market. When we do have the gap, if this gap would fill, it would nearly invalidate it. All right, not seeing much more. Thank you again for everyone being here. Remember, 7:30 Central tomorrow. Do not get caught off guard by retail sales. Thanks for that info. I was going to look it up, but he's via puts 2,000 to essentially 200,000 shares. Looks like a bull flag on Apple. It's more so, I'd say it's on that time frame, it's a horizontal channel after putting in this in, but the double's still completely valid. So I'm watching, especially if we can get any kind of still move on with NASDAQ tomorrow. I'm still watching for this to come up to at least the daily rotation zone. I'd be focused on the first and second targets with this because that's right at the breakdown zone. Thank you, Wavy. Thanks, Christoph. Again, hope everyone can join me tomorrow morning for the market preview. Until then, I will talk to everyone later. Please come back and at least leave a comment on this video to try to get it wider distribution. And we'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.